Hello and welcome back to another Warcraft video. So today I'm going to be taking a look at the Frost DK in Warlords of Draenor. So just before we get into the full impressions video, I'm going to do a quick little segment to run you through how this spec plays, just so that people who don't play this spec have a bit of an idea what's going on for the rest of the video. I'll throw up an annotation so that you can skip this. Now, the Frost DK is a fundamentally simple enough spec. The first thing you want to do is apply Outbreak. This puts your two diseases, Blood Plague and Frost Fever, on the target. Because of this Plague Bearer talent, essentially my diseases are automatically replenished, and it's not something you ever need to worry about again in a single target fight. Now after that, you've got your main abilities. Plague Strike you'll probably never use, honestly, but you've got Frost Strike, which spends runic power, and then you've got Obliterate, which spends your runes. Now, Obliterate, for the two-handed spec, is extremely powerful, and I'm playing two-handed at the minute, so I want to do Obliterates. So when I go in, you know, I put my disease up, I use all my runes and Obliterates, then I start spending my runic power, and there you go, we got a proc. What's that proc? That's called Killing Machine. Killing Machine will, I think it like makes a crit out of your next Obliterate or Frost Strike. So because what I was saying about Obliterate being so good for two-handed, I really want to ensure I use all my Killing Machines on Obliterate. Now, a lot of the spec just comes down to that, making sure that you use Killing Machine procs on Obliterate. Now, Obliterate can also proc a thing called Rhyme, and that just gives you a free Howling Blast. And that really is the spec. I know you've got all these cooldowns and things here, but they don't really matter. Now, there's one other thing, Blood Tap. Now, you can see I've got a 3 here. That's because I've got 3 stacks of these things, which are about to disappear, called Blood Charges. Now, the way the Blood Charges work is I can actually use them to regenerate a rune. So, let's just go in here. Oh dear. That tanking target was... tanking thing was killing me. So right now you'll see I've got a whole bunch. I'm purposefully using all my runes. I've got 7 of these Blood Charges. I'm just going to wait until I get 10, and then I'll show you how this is useful. Hopefully we get the proc that I'm looking for here so I can demonstrate this. Oh dear. Okay, right. So I'm sitting here 12 stacks. I can't use Obliterate. Oh dear. I can just use this, and now I can use Obliterate. So that gives you a little bit of control in your rotation. Now, look, I'm assuming that people have maybe slightly played this, but just don't know what it's like at endgame, so I thought I'd quickly blast in a little mini, hey, here's what's going on thing. Yeah, hopefully that helped. Anyway, let's get back to the main video. Now, I've mainly been playing two-handed, and essentially the only difference between two-handed and one-handed Frost is that now with two-handed, your Obliterate does a crap ton more damage in comparison to Frost Strike. Well, when you compare it to the live way of doing things, and then if you're doing dual wield, then your Frost Strikes are going to be more important. Now, what this means is that Killing Machine is far more punishing. Now, this is something that some people actually like, and some people don't like. I personally do like it because of the way talents work. But, yeah, I'll dive into the nitty-gritty in a minute. First of all, I just want to say that I think this is a really fun spec so far. I've not really played too much of it on live at all, apart from leveling up my DK. But now that I'm on the beta, trying everything out, getting a proper setup going with a UI and everything, so I can track all my stuff, I've got to say it's really, really fun. Now, what I like about the DK is its resource system. Of course, you've got your runes, then you've got runic power, and then also, because of your Blood Tap talent, you have Blood Charges. Now, Blood Charges basically... you can convert Blood Charges into Death Runes, which is just the rune that kind of works for everything, and you generate those Blood Charges whenever you use a Frost Strike or something, just in case you don't know. Now, those Blood Charges pull up to a maximum of 12, and you use them in stacks of 5. And the really cool thing about Blood Charges is that it lets you have a bit of control. You know, you can have these Blood Charges just sitting there ready for whenever you want to hit that button to use an Obliterate or something. So just the control that I've got over the spec is what I think is really fun. Essentially, you have 3 resources to manage. You've got Blood Charges, you've got your runic power, and then your runes. I love that. Generally, in specs, I enjoy managing resources. I know in, say, the Assassination Rogue, what I really liked about that over combat is that its main combo point generator actually gave you 2 combo points at once, instead of just giving you 1, which is what Sinister Strike does. Now, that meant that I was able to basically pull up even more resources, and I just felt like the flexibility and thought that I was able to have in terms of my resource spending on Assassination was a lot of fun. And basically, you get the same thing with the Frost DK. I really do like that. Now, of course, other points of the spec that I like are procs. You know, you've got Killing Machine proccing off your auto attacks. Then you've got Rhyme, which gives you a free Howling Blast, proccing off your Obliterates. That's good. I like being able to react to something. Now, one thing, and this will be relevant in a future video, sort of, but yes, your Killing Machine procs do have a bit of randomness to them, but I think that because of the Blood Charge mechanic with Blood Tap, you're really able to just manage that randomness, and I think that overall the better player will win. Now, really the main change from live is that because because Obliterate is so much more powerful for two-handed, and Frost Strike is so much more powerful for dual wield, you will only want to, well, not only, but you're going to have to ensure that you spend as many Killing Machine procs as possible on the correct one of those spells. Now that does introduce more downtime. It's not like in, say, patch 5.4 where really you were okay to use a Killing Machine Frost Strike. That was fine, you could do that. The whole thing is you didn't want to just waste possible Killing Machine procs, but now that Killing Machine interacts so heavily with Obliterate, you really need to use it on Obliterate if you can. So essentially what you do is you have more downtime, but the downtime does actually involve a bit of thought and decision making, and generally I try to time things so that when I do have downtime I've got some blood charges, just that, in case my auto attack procs a Killing Machine, in which case I can spend all my blood charges and instantly use an Obliterate. Now that's all good to say in here, but in practice, it is a good bit harder, and I'm still not nearly close enough to being good. I just need to sit down at a target dummy for a few hours and whack it out. I mean, I've maybe, before I did some of the dungeon footage, I sat at a dummy for maybe 35-40 minutes, just constantly doing the rotation, and I feel like I'm getting better at it. Though, when you have to deal with your blood charges, your runic power, and your runes all at once while dealing with the boss's mechanics, it can get just a little bit hectic at times. Not something that I think I'll get used to over time, and that means I'll probably warm to the spec even more. It's kind of ironic, it's not even probably ironic, you can't really warm to Frost, can you? Ah dear, but yeah, so that's going on. Now, another little, I suppose, advanced thing, maybe, about this spec is swing timers. As we know, Killing Machine will proc off your auto attacks, and your auto attacks are something that with an add-on like, say, Quartz, you can easily track. Now that means that you basically end up timing things with your auto attacks because, you don't want to accidentally use a Frost Strike right when your auto attack happens so that you end up wasting a Killing Machine and Frost Strike. That's not a thing you want to do. So what you end up doing is looking at your swing timer, or at least having a mental note of it, and then using Frost Strikes before your auto attack goes off, and then doing your Obliterate after the auto attack, just so that you ensure that, any Killing Machine procs that do happen will affect your Obliterate. You see, what can happen a lot if you don't pay attention to that is you'll be hitting that's one on my keyboard, no, you'll be hitting Frost Strike, trying to get rid of your runic power, and all of a sudden, you'll hit the button, instantly Killing Machine will proc, and it will apply to your Frost Strike, which isn't what you want. And you don't have much control there, so it's a bit strange that a swing timer is actually really key to this spec, in my opinion, or at least key to playing it at its sort of utmost effectiveness. Now, I think that is partially a bit of a design flaw. It's one that I'm willing to accept, get an add-on for, and move on, because I do like the decision-making there. And I think that it's a spec that's, I don't know if it's depth, but I feel like if I make the right decisions, I will do well. And because of the blood charge mechanic, I also just feel like I have control. Things like Rhyme and Killing Machine, they're procs. They're slightly random, But because of blood charges, I've actually got the control that I need to ensure that randomness, or at least, amplify any good randomness and mitigate any poor randomness. That's what I can do with blood charges, and I think that's one of the best things about this spec. As for the level 100 talents, frankly, they're all shit, in my opinion. Now, I don't know what they're like for throughput or anything like that, but I don't think that any of them really interact with a spec in a way that's meaningful or interesting, and yeah, they're all just boring as hell to me. Really boring. And that's a bit of a pity, but hey, what can you do? That's just That's just the way the cookie crumbles, to coin a word from the local alcoholic in Coleraine. It's probably not his phrase, but he always used to say it. Yeah, anyway, that's the situation for Frost. I think it's a lot of fun. I'm personally loving it. I'm not too sure if everyone will, though, because of the way things work. I enjoy all this kind of depth and monitoring things, but I can totally imagine a lot of people not wanting that, and that's totally cool. Go play a Ret Paladin, because frankly, I wouldn't blame you. They're amazing, and they're not too hard either. It's a pretty cool spec. Anyway, they're both cool specs. But yeah, that's it for the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.